Alright folks, it's Nathan from Kbltexas Homestead, and I want to welcome you back to the channel. Thank you for visiting. Make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, and drop me a comment. I love going through all the comments. I'm catching up right now, I'm not going to lie, on YouTube. I've been so far behind with everything going on. I've had some personal stuff going on in my life, and just here on the homestead been busy. So I'm catching up, but I do enjoy the comments. I try to get back to them as soon as possible in a timely fashion, though I did comment on some videos last night that were 2-month-old comments, so I apologize for that. East and West Homestead, I apologize for that. But today we are going to be giving you an update on our tomatoes. These are tomatoes that we grew from an experimental grow light. From seed, we put them out in the flower beds, and they are doing fantastic. So stick around, follow me into the garden, we'll go check it out. Okay, so here's our tomato bed. I'll pan out so y'all can see this, but this is my tomato bed, and I've actually got some potted tomatoes there, and I got some potted tomatoes there, but we chose to put all the tomatoes in one bed. I chose this bed right here. This bed here is about 10 inches in depth, and it's completely filled. Now let me take that back. So it is half filled with just dry leaves and compostable matter that are raked up from the yard, and then half filled with homemade compost out of my compost bin back here. Now this is all new compost stuff. This right here, I've got about 4 inches and I don't know, I would say a 3 foot by 3 foot area that is still usable compost that I composted all last year. So I'm going to be using that, and I've used that throughout the garden, but we'll get to that later. This here is filled with half of that matter, and my compost, speaking of that, I watched a video earlier today and I commented on the guy. He was saying he's far too busy or way too lazy to flip his compost, and so I commented to him and I told you I'm way too lazy and far too busy to flip my compost. So I don't flip it. We just stack it and stack it and stack it and let it do its thing, and it's worked out rather nice for us. Now I will say that everything goes into our compost. So I pull weeds, it goes into the compost. Grass clippings, what doesn't go to the cows sometimes will go to the compost. Everything that we rake up out of the yard, the leaves from the oak trees, these oak trees here, my beautiful oaks, I love them to death, but all the leaves get all over the yard. They kill my grass. I got to keep them picked up. Everything that gets raked up with the leaves, I pull weeds, I pull grass, it gets thrown into the compost. So when I use the compost, guess what sprouts? A bunch of weeds, a bunch of grass, a bunch of stuff I don't know what's in there. So I do have some weeds, though they're not horrible. I haven't done any weeding in this bed, and it's been planted now for, I would say, a month, about 4 weeks, and I don't have many weeds, and the ones that I do are small and very easy to pull out. This compost is very lightweight, very airy. It's got a bunch of big chunks of stuff in it. It's got light stuff, it's got dirt, it's fluffy, so the roots on these weeds and stuff don't really have a chance to get super packed in and bedded, and I'm able just to come through here and pull them out relatively easy. So I'm like that, I'm happy with that. Now, as you can see, one problem I do have is all my tags that I wrote, because this faces the sun pretty heavily, they have all faded out. Luckily, I have the footage that I can refer back to and find out what the flip I planted. So if you haven't watched it, I'll try to post the link down in the description of my experimental grow light that I built. And in that grow light, during the winter, I planted tomato seeds. And these are the tomato seeds that I planted in that grow light. And now I've transplanted them into the garden bed. And I planted 4 varieties. So I've got 4 rows. This is one row of one variety. This is the second row, the third row, and then the fourth row. So I've got 4 varieties of tomatoes. I've got a 4th of July early bird hybrid. I've got a, let me see if I can read this one. I don't remember exactly what it is. I think it was another hybrid. So that's the 4th of July. This is the early treat. Okay, so it's early treat hybrid, a 4th of July hybrid. Then I've got a Roma tomato. And then I've got a heirloom Rutgers tomato. And that one's got a little more shade, so it hasn't faded completely. But those are the 4 that I planted. So I've got 4 of the same variety in each row. So I've got 16 plants in here. The ones in the pots were actually ones, they're the same seeds, but they're ones that I were extra. And I split them and put them in these pots. Now, the ones that are in the pots, they actually stayed in little cells like that for about 2 weeks longer than these did. And as you can see, just planting them in the raised bed, you can see the difference. So look at this guy compared to this guy. Now, this is the 4th of July hybrid, so it's actually this one here. So you can compare those two. So you can actually see the difference. Compare this one, which was sown on the same date, and this one, which was sown by seed on the same date, but planted one in the raised bed and one in the pot. This one stayed in a cell about 2 weeks longer, and you can tell the growth difference. It's just amazing, the difference. Now, this little booger, it also stayed in the cell longer. The tomato that I originally planted here didn't make it, and actually the chickens got in here and scratched it to death, and I had to replace it with one of the ones in the cells. And even though I put this one in here the same time that I put this one in this pot, and look at the difference, even that has shown double in growth. So having said that, that's just my little update on the tomatoes. They're very nice, they're very healthy, and I'll give you a shot like this. Look how big they are from the dirt up. They're nice size tomato. They're getting big. Now, I do have a tomatillo right here and another one over there. Now, those are Spanish variety of tomato. They're good for salsas. We've got a few of those throughout the garden, but I just went ahead and I didn't have no more bed space for them separately, so I just plugged them in between the tomatoes, and we'll see how they work out. But the tomatoes seem to be healthy, seem to be doing good. I'm happy with them. Now, I will say that I did shoot a update video while they were still under the grow light inside in the experimental grow light. Again, I'll try to put the link in the description, but it was just a regular light bulb, and I used some material that I had here, and I was able to put it together. No special light, just it was actually a low energy or energy efficient light bulb that I had on hand. I plugged it in there, I let them go, and they did great. I didn't need nothing special. I didn't need a fluorescent light or a special light that the grow lights come with. It was just a regular old light bulb. They sprouted, they grew healthy, and they transplanted just fine. So go check that video out and you can make judgment for yourself. But I think this is proof in the pudding that they're just doing tremendous. No problems. So everything looks good. I'm happy with it. And I'll probably say, or it's safe to say, that I'll be doing that again next year. Alright folks, that's going to wrap up this garden video update of our tomato beds. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you. I hope I was able to give you some information. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments. Let me know what you think. We got some more updates to come. So again, thank you for spending some time with me today. Hope you enjoyed the video. Remember, till next time.